I had the great honor of serving on what was called Continental Congress 2009. What it was a meeting where we nominated and elected delegates from all 50 states. We only actually ended up with 48 states participating, but 3 people from each state, we all assembled in St. Charles, Illinois back on November 11th, and we reasoned out efforts of Bob Schultz and the We the People Foundation. Bob Schultz had been petitioning the federal government for 15 years for redress of grievances, which your First Amendment right says if there's something wrong with the government, you have that right to petition the government, and they're supposed to give you an answer as to whether or not your petition's valid or not. Well, Bob's been doing this for 15 years, pointing out all these violations of the United States Constitution. And the federal government, their only answer is silence. So Bob decided to form this thing called the Continental Congress. So a bunch of us got together, we documented the violations that Bob was petitioning the government for. We brought up solutions as to what we wanted government to do about it, and we had what they call civic actions and remedial instructions to Congress, state legislatures, your governor and the president and such. So on that disc is a document that we created called the Articles of Freedom. And if you take the time to read it, and unfortunately it's about 60 pages long, but you'll be surprised as to all the violations of the Constitution that's been going on forever. And a lot of them stem all the way back to the time of Lincoln.
Wow.
So what we're doing, once you have digested the material, and if you feel brave enough to participate, we're asking people to pledge their support to carry out what they call the civic actions. So the primary civic actions is to present this to all our elected officials and say, you've been in violation of the Constitution for a long time. We want you to fix it. And there's some guidelines in here as to how to, different things that can be addressed to, remedy the situation. Now the second thing is when we hopefully will get a sufficient number of people, what we call a critical mass. Bob's goal was 15 million. I don't know if we could get that many people to sign the pledge, but we're all going to have a day of civic action on April 19th where we're going to gather at the state capitals and officially come out and say, here is a violation, so we want this stuff fixed. And we're hoping we're having big enough crowds to do it. Todd McGreevy down there in Davenport, he's our Iowa State coordinator. He says, yeah, I want 500,000 people on the steps of the Capitol. Well, good luck. If we get a couple thousand people down there, all saying, we support the Articles of Freedom, you never know. We're hoping we're going to get some changes. But you start reading about this stuff and learning, it goes on with executive orders. You hear the president signs executive orders all the time. And
there's way too much power with the executive orders.
Yeah, the executive orders are supposed to apply to the executive branch as instructions to the administration in the executive branch, but they become so broad that he's basically writing his own legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that goes on from the time of Lincoln. The 14th Amendment we didn't take up the 14th Amendment in the Continental Congress because it's pretty hairy, but when they freed the slaves, they supposedly formed a corporation where the United States is incorporated, just like any other company. And the name goes to all capital letters. And then all the citizens, the 14th Amendment says that you're a subject of the corporation. You're property of the corporation. So when you get your birth certificate, you become inventory of this corporation. So you notice on all your legal papers, your name is written in all capital letters. So there are some people that push this 14th Amendment stuff to the point where whenever they receive any documents, they go, I'm a flesh and blood. I'm not a corporate entity. So I'm ignoring your court order. And sometimes if they do their argument properly, they prevail. And they get off the hook on certain things. But unfortunately, Continental Congress didn't address 14th Amendment. We promised that we'd do it the next time we reconvene. But the 16th Amendment was never ratified properly. A number of state legislatures took the amendment that came from Congress, and they didn't write it. They didn't write it exactly, and then they sent it back. And so he says the 16th Amendment wasn't properly documented. What that 16th Amendment did was create the income tax. So paying income taxes is basically voluntary, but they're not going to tell you that.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's
why do how do they have the ability to put people in jail and fine if they don't pay it then?
They just do it.
Yeah.
They just do
it. They got
There's more of them to give.
Right.
But that's an example. The war power clause. Only Congress supposedly has the power to declare war.
Guy goes to the man with the bigger gun.
That's not
we haven't had a war since 1941.
Now the president, since the terrorist thing, doesn't Doesn't the President of the United States have the power to declare war without Congress?
No, he's got to go through Congress. He can do military actions.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, but that's what.
Yeah, they just don't call it war.
Yeah,
Right.
they just don't call it war.
But it
Well,
is.
Bush did.
Yeah.
He did the. He declared the war, and went with his executive powers, and then told Congress, "Well, you need to jump on board, or you're fucked because you're
Right, they're going to do it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened, yeah.
So
And
that's
for
another
that
example.
motherfucker deserves his balls hung up on the
Oh,
first
yeah.
boat over
I
there.
agree.
And his
Shit.
father deserves the same thing for cutting off the IND program when the AIDS patients tried to get on.
You know how Prescott
Yeah.
Bush, the grandfather, actually had that bank, and he had a lot of corporations in Nazi Germany making money off concentration camp laborers, and FDR and the Congress of that time actually had to pass a law to make it illegal for them to do business with the Nazis and making money off concentration camps because they didn't want to quit doing it.
Well, it's
Right.
It's all part of this New World Order international banker crap.
Yeah.
It's just-
Yeah.
You know when the insurance companies got their money? The big money? From like the Big Eastern? From insuring slave ships.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
Yeah.
that's true.
For real.
But,
For
you
real,
know,
there's some serious reparations that would come down on an insurance company.
And I had a big problem on the local level when it was a few months ago, and they do this all over the state all the time. They have these, they call them safety checks, where so many police
Yeah.
departments will get together and they'll set up roadblocks,
Right.
and they'll pull you over for not doing anything. You're driving down the street, and you actually have to go through a government checkpoint.
Right.
How's that different from Nazi Germany? I don't know.
It
I don't
is.
see any difference.
who watched the Super Bowl?
And I talked to the governor's office. I talked to the Department of Public Safety, who puts it on too, and they said, "Oh no, this is just for safety." No, it's not for
Yeah,
safety.
it's not for
It's not for
It's
safety.
criminal activity,
Yeah.
and you know
It's about
it.
revenue.
It's not
Yeah.
Fourth and Fifth Amendment violations, right there. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
Well, you know what they
Government
usually do at
checkpoints.
those checkpoints? They don't pull the people over who just drive by them. They pull the people over that get off the off ramps.
They try to get around it by saying they only pull over every third car.
I wanted to do a
'Cause I
reverse
guess
thing.
technically they can't pull over every car.
I wanted to do a
Well,
reverse
it's
thing
third car or
when
something.
you get a video set up where you whip into the rest area and you grab all these bags out of your trunk. You get like looks like toy guns and the butts are sticking out kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You're putting them in the garbage can and it's like someone's watching you to see if they come and pounce on you.
You're like Barry Cooper cop busters.
About 2 months ago,
Cooper, that was awesome. Set up that grow up and it was
Yeah.
Christmas trees in the room.
a couple months ago up in Ankeny, I went up there and I've seen all kinds of cop cars. And just driving around Ankeny, there was 4 different police. One was Clive, one was Urbandale,
Yeah, it's always like a joint
one
task
was
force that does that or
Capitol. There was
something.
5 of them together in Ankeny pulling people over all over the whole town area.
Yeah.
State troopers, county sheriffs, everybody in Ankeny.
Yeah.
Somebody pulled over.
That's
You do that
crazy
all
when
the
you got
time,
I don't know.
almost
It
cities,
just,
Windsor Heights
it
and
was
stuff.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was going to pick up.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't wait here. We can't wait here.
Right.
It's a no. It's a no.
Yeah.
But it was like, what the hell?
But you know, we've been under
Hard hat.
emergency order like since 1933. That's never been released. You know, the 1933 banking crisis, and they never released the emergency order. They kind of keep renewing it. Like 1947, they renewed it. In 1974 or 72 or something, they renewed it. Now Bush basically renewed it with 9/11. But we've been under continuous emergency. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.